Hello, ladies and gentlemen. Jacob Licklider here with a video that is months late. Yes, Doctor Who is coming back tomorrow, at least at the time of recording. This is coming out late at night, so it may be out later today, with a triple premiere. And I never actually talked about the 2023 Christmas special, The Church on Ruby Road, aka Ncuti Gatwa's first proper episode as the 15th Doctor, written by Russell T Davies and directed by Mark Derry. Now, I did watch it on Christmas, but Christmas is Christmas and holidays get crazy, so there's clearly just why I wasn't able to record because, well, it was Christmas. And The Church on Ruby Road is really the first episode. As an episode, it feels like it's actually meant to lead into the first series. We end essentially on a cliffhanger of our new companion, Ruby Sunday, played by Millie Gibson, going into the TARDIS and it dematerializing without actually establishing who the Doctor is. And in between now and Christmas, it has come out that the original plan was to try to release the first season of sort of this second Russell T Davies era in January, close to the Christmas special, but it was, for lack of a better term, delayed till May, so effects work could be done. And honestly, I don't blame the delay. Um, it makes sense. I just hope that these delays don't become a continuous thing, and Russell T Davies can actually fulfill the promise of one series a year, even if that series is an 8 episode series, as the new series is going to be. So the Church on Ruby Road as an episode it's a Christmas special, and if I'm going to be honest, Christmas specials aren't my favorite episodes. Generally they become way too obsessed with the Christmas season and doing Christmas emotions. There are really only a handful that I say are arguably good. The Christmas Invasion, the first proper one of the revival, is it's a good adventure, a good new Doctor introduction. Uh, Christmas Carol by Steve is one of Stephen Moffat's Christmas specials that is fairly good. It's again riffing on a Christmas Carol, and of course the Husbands of Forever song probably takes the cake for the best one because it's oddly enough the one that's most far removed from Christmas as a holiday and is more interested in being a loving character piece for the 12th Doctor and River Song. The Church on Ruby Road is doing essentially triple duty here. It's being a Christmas special, introducing a new companion, and introducing a new Doctor. Now, introducing a new Doctor is probably the least difficult because you have the giggle right before this, where Ncuti Gatwa did appear significantly. And Russell T Davies actually makes the really good writing decision not to do any post regeneration weirdness here. The Doctor is ready to go. Davies is also pulling a trick uh, from the same book when he wrote Rose back in 2005 and is largely presenting this episode through the eyes of Ruby Sunday, our companion. It gets a little messy because the episode is initially narrated by Gatwa as the Doctor. Uh, there's a little bit of this shifting perspective, largely because we're also setting up, well, one of the issues is that we are setting up Ruby Sunday, the character, as a mystery box, at least where she came from. She's an orphan, was left on at a church on Ruby Road. It's how she gets her name on Christmas Eve, which is a Sunday. And the Doctor, in the sort of opening act of the episode, is there watching. And I'm gonna be honest, I'm not entirely looking forward to whatever Davies pulls for whoever Ruby's parents are. Knowing Davies as a writer, I'm more nervous that it's going to be some returning character or something really important. That's usually what happens when Davies writes a character arc like this, like trying to foreshadow this idea um, of an important character. Um, but I could be proved wrong. It also doesn't entirely take away from my enjoyment of this episode in particular, because despite everything, this is actually quite fun. It's flawed in a lot of ways, but Ncuti Gatwa and Ridley Gibson are fantastic. They're the ones carrying essentially some of the weaker elements, even in the third act. The third act hits so that Ruby is written out of time by intertemporal goblins, who are our villains. Because goblins are kind of Christmassy, I guess. Uh, They, are stealing a baby that Ruby and her mother Carla, are specifically taking in. Carla being a foster mother, Carla's mother Cherry being a nice source of comic relief throughout the episode. But they need to get captured. It's up to the Doctor and Ruby to stop them. The plot itself is actually quite thin. Again, Davies is drawing on his experience from introducing companions in making a simple plot so we could focus on the characters. And yeah, Ruby Sunday as a character, I already feel like we know quite a lot about her. Um, Outside of the mystery of her origin, she genuinely feels like a normal person. I'm a bit disappointed that we're doing another female companion from modern day Earth. I'd like to see some variety going forward, but as this is also trying to relaunch the show for potentially new viewers, I don't mind it. Uh, Now, there is, of course, the issue of Davies implying that Ruby being fostered by Carla is the only reason Carla fosters, and there's a whole problematic can of worms there. I don't think it's intentional. Davies as a writer has a tendency to find himself in these situations. But if I had to guess, I'd also guess that the this when this was written, Davies probably wasn't thinking to cast non-white actors as Ruby's mother and grandmother. Now they give lovely performances. They are both particularly good and fun characters, and once again, Davies knows how to write a family, but the actual drama there is just it's a trope, pretty bad trope. Um, some have said it makes Ruby a white savior. I wouldn't go so that far, but it's definitely one of those problems. But Michelle Greenridge, who plays Carla, and Angela Winter, who plays Cherry, are very nice aspects of the episode. There's also plenty of time devoted to just Ruby, the person. She plays a band. She seems, happy-go-lucky, happy, helpful. Her chemistry, Gibson's chemistry with Chigatwa, as I said, is fantastic. They immediately sparkle. There's this very almost mischievous dynamic between the pair of them when they're playing off one another. I really hope that plays through. It very much feels like Davies isn't going to be trying to replicate the 10th Doctor and Rose romantic dynamic here, uh, which is good. Uh, and obviously, God, what impresses. Yeah, the big problem here is that third act becomes just a little too messy in places, as well as the fact that um, there is a musical number in the middle of this, which is your mileage may vary. I actually quite enjoyed it, though the goblins themselves are almost particularly weak in terms of villains. They're just kind of there. Again, it's kind of thin. The marketing of this was also a bit weird. On Disney Plus, it's actually marketed as special number 4 when it's supposed to be a clean break. And I could see this working as a clean break if it wasn't marketed that way, though I do believe that tomorrow, when the first 2 episodes of the new series proper drop, they're actually going to be episodes 2 and 3, and this will be episode 1 of the new series. Because that's clearly what it's meant to be. It's clearly meant to be in episode 1. There's also a tease of a character called Mrs. Flood, played by Anita Dobson, the wife of Brian May, of all people. And she's fun, but she's another character that Davies is teasing. Knows the TARDIS, and she will be back. There's also a heckler in an early scene played by Susan Twist, who was in Wild Blue Yonder in the sort of the pre-credits of that, and we know that Susan Susan Twist, if that is this actress's real name, I think it might be, it might not be, is something else that Davies is setting up. Davies is setting up a lot of weird things here, and he's doing teases, and they're all essentially mystery box teases, which I'm a little nervous about because really I think that Doctor Who needs to move away from the mystery box if they want to do an overarching story. they should maybe take some inspiration from other serialized science fiction in terms of arcs and not just set up these mystery boxes. They get annoying. They're rarely satisfying, even with like they are some of the weakest elements of all three showrunners. Is just not creating a satisfying conclusion to a mystery box. It's a shame. But I will say, I like the Church on Ruby Road. It is a really good find. It's solid. It sets a tone nicely. I hope it can maintain it. Um, and I hope we get some varied in the tone. I will say, moving into some sort of my last minute predictions for the series itself, I am a little disappointed that Russell T Davies is writing six of the eight episodes. This one is, and then there's only, and then another is being written by Stephen Moffat coming back, and the eighth would have been potentially written by Chris Chibnall, who was offered a slot, but is being written by a new team of Kate Herron and Brian E. Redmond. Um, I will say I am still excited to see what Doctor Who does. Now, my plans for actually reviewing it, I am going to be trying to do it week by week. I cannot make any promises though. Life can get crazy. I do think that since it's a two-episode premiere, we will only get one video discussing both Space Babies and The Devil's Cord. Outside of that, get in the comments, tell me what you thought of The Church on Ruby Road. If you like this video, leave a like. If you didn't, leave a dislike. It all helps in the algorithm in the same way. Leave a comment. Let's start a discussion. Subscribe if you haven't already. Uh, Follow me on social media as well as my blog where I review a bunch of other things, largely books and television, as well as my podcast where my good buddy Joey makes me read comics. Until then, which will be hopefully within 48 hours, this has been Jacob Licklider.